Hey everybody, it's Ben in Beta, and today I have actually two things to talk about, and that would be the new cord-free polishers from DIY Detail. These are brand new to the market and they have a very unique design, which I'm excited to share with you. And before we dive in too much here, I want to point out that I have another video where I talked to Ivan LaCroix, the man behind the creation of these polishers, where we discussed these polishers, how they came to be, but also just how he approaches product design. And that could be anything from chemical design to these mechanical designs to sponges. And that was a really great conversation, so definitely check that video out. I have that linked below, so check that one out if you haven't seen it. I think you'll find it super interesting. Today we're talking all about these new cordless polishers. There's a big mess here at my desk. We'll get through all that. But I just wanted to let you know that my experience so far with polishers has been with this Work Pro 6-inch polisher that I got off of Amazon, and I use this to polish my truck. We also use this on my neighbor's Bronco, and it gets the job done. I'm not gonna tell you that it's not gonna work. This one was like about $90, I wanna say, something like that. These are gonna be more expensive, but it is a corded tool, and one thing you might notice is that the cord on here isn't super long, so you definitely had to use an extension with it. I've used this a few times, and before that I was using my drill with a dual action attachment. The problem with that one was it was only a 4-inch pad, and it took a really long time to get a vehicle done. Now, I wasn't doing them every day, so it wasn't the biggest deal in the world, but that 6-inch polisher definitely made things a lot faster. Both of these come with a 6-inch backing plate, but a 5-inch backing plate is included with both of them if you decide you would rather do that. And all the tools you need to do that come in the box too, but you can do 5 or 6-inch pads with these. So just so you know, I did pay for these. I got them early because I was fortunate enough to be part of the DIY Tuber program, so I appreciate that, but I did pay for them. I did spend my own money on these. Also, before I get too far, they're corded polisher. So that's what this one looks like here. And you can see these are really very similar except for the 30-foot cord here at the end. These are basically very similar, if not exactly the same in terms of ergonomics, where you grab on, the size of them, that kind of thing. Basically, these would be the same. They're both the 25mm DAs, and they have the 6-inch pad on them. And they also have the rotary, which we'll be checking out too. This one I'll probably be using a little bit later on a project that I have coming up for sort of finishing off my wife's car after we go over it with the DA first. So this is something we'll see a little bit later on. I will show you how it works though in this video too. But now you know kind of the two things I've got and some other things I have experience with. Now let me clear this table off a little bit so we can talk about what you get when you purchase one of these. All right, now that I got some of the other stuff out of the way, let's talk about what you get with each of these. Both of them are gonna come with an 8-amp charger. This is gonna charge your batteries up super quick, and it's gonna go 0 to 80 really fast. And that's kind of a current sort of technology in batteries where it charges up really fast to 80, and then after that it'll trickle charge. So it's gonna take longer to go to 100%, but you can get to 80 very quickly. And I did find when I charged these up initially, they went super quick, even all the way to 100. So if you're working on a car and you run out of battery in one of them, it comes with two, so you can just switch it out, put that on the battery, start with the fresh one, and by the time you would need the next one, you just keep switching them out. So that's kind of an advantage for the system that Ivan chose here. And I think the big thing is that these batteries aren't too big, and you'll see why it's important that they're not too big, I think, in a minute. But you do get two batteries and that 8-amp charger, and these are both 5-amp lithium-ion 20-volt batteries. And they are of the Makita style, so you can actually use Makita batteries with this system. And then there are adapters you can put on this to use with other battery types like DeWalt or something like that. But with these two batteries that you get with each system, you're probably really not gonna need to buy any more batteries for a long time. So that's what's cool about this. You get that quick charger, two batteries with both of them. So if you order both, you're gonna get 4 batteries and 2 chargers, which is what I have. All right, then let's move on to the 25mm DA. And again, just as a reminder, if you wanna know more about why Ivan chose some of the specs, why he placed the battery where he did, so on and so forth, definitely check out that interview video that I have that's linked in the description below. You'll learn a lot more from that. But he did make this a 25mm DA, which means it's gonna give you a better cut. It's also gonna make the job a little bit faster, and it's gonna do a great job. So that's what the DA looks like. It comes with a 6-inch pad installed. You also get the 5-inch and the tools to be able to change that. Then when we switch over to the rotary, it looks very similar, except this is just a rotary, so it's about rotations, and this one's about oscillations, a little bit different there. This one's more about the rotations. It doesn't do that dual action piece. It doesn't oscillate like the dual action does. This was the tool of choice many years ago. The rotary was how you polished a vehicle. The DA has kind of changed that game a little bit. A lot of people prefer the DA. The rotary, when paired with something like this jeweling pad here, will give you just a super glossy finish. So sometimes you want to use both. But if you have something like a brand new vehicle and you want to make the paint just super glossy, you're not really trying to correct anything, the rotary is really, really good for that. So that might be a reason why you'd want to pick one of these up if you're somebody who's really into detailing. If you're somebody who's just going to detail every once in a while, I think the DA is a pretty good choice because it kind of does everything pretty well. But this is what the rotary looks like. This one came with the 5-inch pad attached, and you actually just screw this one off and you can put on the 6-inch pad, which it came with. Again, 2 batteries and a charger with this one as well. Now, the big deal about both of these is normally you would expect on a power tool to connect your battery to the bottom. I can't do that on this one, and that is because the batteries actually go in the center of the tool. And you're gonna see that this looks kind of funny compared to what we've been used to, but let's take a look at that. So this is now what the tool looks like when we have the battery installed in the center. And what that does is it puts the weight in the center of the tool. And you can really kind of feel now the balance is quite good on this. If you put the battery at the end, it would kind of want to follow my hand. Right now, grabbing right here, this is perfect. It's the balance point is really up here, which is where you want it. Because now when I'm working, I can just use one hand right here like this, and it'll go exactly where I want it to, and I can guide it here. If I need to reach, there's almost no pressure that I need to put on the back here to be able to reach like across my vehicle, and I'll be able to still control it from way back here and have a good place to grab rather than trying to grab the battery or something like that. And if I want to use it two-handed, it's exactly where I would expect my hands to go for a two-handed operation for a polisher. That's what that looks like. Balance is really good, and I think it's about 6 pounds all together with all this stuff on here, the way it is. So that's quite nice. So when I compare that now to the corded DA, kind of the same tool here, I'm just gonna put this cord up here. The balance point now is exactly the same as what it is with the corded tool. If I'm holding up here, it's pretty much balanced right on my finger right there. So again, when I'm holding this up here, I can control the tool from the front and not really have to use 2 hands if I don't want, because we really don't want to put pressure on when we're polishing most of the time, because you're taking paint off when you're actually doing that. So we don't want to put pressure on and take anything more off than we need. So now that I have the battery in here, these weigh pretty much the same to me, I would say. They're very similar. I really couldn't tell you that one is heavier than the other one just from feeling it. So the feel will be the same with the cordless tool as it is with the corded tool, and that's pretty impressive. But this is, again, kind of what it looks like with that battery in the middle. As far as other features go, there is a speed control here, and it's really easy to set with your thumb or change the speed when the tool is running. Then you've got your trigger here, which will start the tool up. And then here you've got, like, I would call it your cruise control button, but it basically keeps the tool on so you don't have to constantly be pressing the trigger. So if we do turn it on, and just press that button and basically keeps it on. You can hear how loud that was. It's not bad at all. That was at pretty much the top speed right there, by the way. And let's just start all the way at the bottom and see what that sounds like. So that's what that sounds like on the DA and kind of what it looks like in operation. Again, really easy to use one-handed or two. All right, so one thing I have found about these tools, just kind of pointing that out, the batteries, it does take a little bit of effort to get them off. That's one thing I have found. I don't think it's a big deal, but you definitely want to hold that trigger mechanism there and then probably push with the other hand to get it off. There we go. So it's a little bit of effort to get these off, but not terrible. I would guess over time that'll change, and every time you get a new battery, it might stick a little bit more, but that plastic will wear a little bit and probably get easier. But you also don't want them to fly off, so that's not a bad thing. All right, so that is kind of what it sounds like in the operation of the DA. Let's take a look really quickly here at what the rotary sounds like and how it operates. So once again, battery goes on the back, snaps in nice and easy. Oh, there we go, all the way. Again, good balance right up here up front. This is great balance for the tool. Easy to handle. Same exact features on this one with speed. Your cruise control lock are just locking the tool on in the on position and the trigger. All right, so we'll start at 1 and we'll work our way up. Hopefully you can hear it when I'm saying that. Tool being really close to me as it is, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the rotary is probably a little bit quieter than the DA, but as far as quietness goes, these are both pretty quiet tools in comparison to some of the other ones I've used. And I do want to show you what I'm talking about. I can measure all that out just so we can kind of see what they are. So with no talking at all, it's right around 30 decibels in here. And let's go ahead and give it a try. So here is the 25 millimeter DA. We'll try to hold it about as far away as you would a tool, right? So realistically, you're only a few inches away. So I'm gonna hold it right back here, just a few inches away. All right, here we go. 25 millimeter DA, cord free. All right, so where you would normally operate it at about the 3 setting most of the time, 3.5 is about 80 decibels. So that's what that one is. Let's take a look quickly at the rotary as well. We'll run through all the settings again. I don't know how often you'd run it at 6, to be honest, but we're still testing it anyway. So here we go, running back through. So the rotary is slightly louder at the top speed, but again, where you'd mostly use it, not too bad. All right, let's see what the Work Pro is. I'm gonna guess higher, but we'll see. Here we go, Work Pro. So you can see this tool at every single speed was basically higher, almost 90 decibels. So you're looking at, even the setting that you'd normally work at was like 85, 86. So pretty loud. And then lastly, the DIY Detail corded 25 millimeter. Let's take a look at that one. Quiet. So I would say the 25 millimeter was louder at the very top end, but a little bit quieter at the bottom end. All right, so that does it for the decibel test. All right, before I move on and show you just first impressions on how they actually work on a surface of something. I want to know if you guys have any questions you would love me to try to answer for you in the future with these videos. I'm going to be spending a lot of time with these in the future. I've got a couple different projects that I need polishers for, so I'll definitely be using them more and kind of getting familiar with them, and I'd be happy to answer questions. I will definitely be doing follow-up video on how they work overall, the ergonomics, how they feel. So pretty much any polisher should really do the job, but this is really about how well does it work long term. So I think one of the areas where I expect it to be better is definitely when you're cleaning the pad in between each panel. The cord-free version is just going to make that a lot easier. I would like to know what you want to know about these polishers that I can give you information-wise. And if you already have one of these, I'd love to know what you think of it as well. All right, so I'm in a weird place to show you how a polisher works. At least it may seem like a weird place. But I'm in my kitchen, and we have this older stove in our house that we got here. And the top is fairly clean. But what I actually want to do is I would like to clean up the best I can with what I've got here today. And then I'm actually going to put a little graphene coating here, a little ceramic graphene coating, DIY Details 3-year on here. And this is something great when you have a little bit of extra stuff left over. You're kind of wondering what should I do with a coating. This is one of the things you can put it on is a stovetop like this, a glass stovetop. So ceramic glass stovetop. So something like one of your induction cooktops or this. And basically you're just going through the same process you normally would go through when you would coat any kind of surface. You're going to clean it. So we got a little bit of rinseless, some all clean here. We're going to polish it. Then we're going to prep it. And then we're going to go ahead and throw on the coating. This is probably going to take about maybe 15, 20 minutes total. And the big things here is just going to help keep the surface cleaner and make it easier to clean longer. So you can go ahead and do this on a glass stove if you want. Again, if you have some leftover like this, it's great for that. But we're going to get a chance to see how both of these work on this surface. We're going to use the gold standard pad in both cases. This is more of a first impressions for me. We're not doing an entire vehicle or anything like that. I'm just trying to give you an impression on how it feels, what it's like to use these versus a different polisher. And I actually did the same thing to my stove back in Colorado, and I can bring in some of that video so you can see how loud that other system was and what that looked like versus what these look like, which might be kind of fun too. But let's get going on this. I'm going to set this up here so you can see what's going on as easily as possible, so you get a nice close view of the stovetop and what's happening here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to put on my handy dandy gloves. I have a sponge here that I've been using for rinseless in the kitchen. So let's go ahead and spray a little on here and get off what we can from the surface with that. Now, since this is glass, what's cool about this is I'm not really worried about it like I would be with paint. I don't want to polish my vehicle if it doesn't need to be polished. And I'm not necessarily going to be putting a new coating on that right now. I've got the 5-year on my truck at this point. So I don't necessarily need to, like I said, do that again and recoat my vehicle. Now I will be putting a coating on my wife's vehicle in May, so I will be using the polishers then, and that one will be a much longer process. We'll do the whole thing, good to see it from start to finish, so that'll be kind of cool. And you'll find out what I'm gonna put on there when that time comes. Now I like on the stovetop to go over that surface again after I've used rinseless on it, and you can actually see that, I mean, this is pretty clean. There are some spots, and some of these things may not come out with polishing at all. They may actually just be sort of defects in the glass top at this point, and that's okay. We're just trying to make this as easy as possible to clean for as long as we can. Now we're gonna take a little bit of all clean and just make sure, because this, as an all-purpose cleaner, this is gonna make sure we get off any grease, that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing there. And for this, I'm just gonna use some paper towels because I'm not as worried about it, but I'm just gonna try to get off anything that's left on here. So we've done the all clean, put that off to the side. We've done the rinseless, let's get that out of the way. The next thing to do is to do the polishing, and I have a gold standard pad here, which we're gonna use on both of these. So we'll go ahead and put this on, and I'm gonna get these a little bit wet, and then we're gonna use the gold standard polish, and we'll maybe do 1/2 in the DA and 1/2 in the rotary. And it is a glass surface, so it'd be just like doing glass on your vehicle, which is kind of cool. And actually I can just spray some rinseless on this, which is I'm gonna do over the sink. Again, we'll use the same pad for both of them. So it's wet now. Normally we would do the spray it all on kind of deal under the pad while it's moving, which we could do here, but again, I don't wanna get it all over my counter. So I'm actually gonna just put a couple dabs on here to the middle, kind of across like that. This is already enough polish for the whole thing. And I could spray it on here if I wanted to as well, but this is plenty of polish for what we're gonna do. And so we'll get her running here. Pad on. One-handed, easy. Two-handed, super easy. And we're on like about setting 3 here, which is pretty much where you would, 3,500, something like that, where you'd normally polish. And I press the trigger and we're done. So let's pull this one off of here for now and try the rotary. So impressions wise of the DA, that was super easy. You can see how quickly it did that. It is really quiet. This is so much quieter than what I did with the last one, which is awesome. Now, the rotary, we're gonna try on the other side. Again, this is more just for fun than it is for anything else. We're actually not gonna keep this stove anyway, once the kitchen is redone. But to change the backing on this one, you don't need any equipment. You just simply screw it off. And I need that 6-inch pad, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that on here. And it just screws into place. And now we're on, and here we go. And I doubt I need any more polish on here, but maybe I'll just do a quick, that's way too much, but it's fine. And so we'll go ahead here and start it up. Again, super easy. This is the first time I've ever used a rotary. It definitely needs a little more leading. I've never used, like I said, a rotary before. That was really nice, it was fun. Super easy. These are so easy to use, so easy to control. And I'm really, really impressed. So this is the first time I've ever used these on any surface at all. At some point, I'll be doing some C6 hydro on my glass on my truck. So I'll be using the DA for that in the future. So I'll have a little bit more to say about it then. That's a little tiny bigger job than this because you got a little bit more glass, but not much, but it's very similar to what this would be. And both of these are great. They were both super easy to use, really quiet in comparison to what I was doing with that Work Pro. Really well balanced. I mean, honestly great. And the battery's not in the way at all. You can see everything you're doing. People who are concerned about that, just don't be concerned about those things at all. Great balance, really easy to use. So the first impressions I have are that these work really well, and I think anybody who buys one is going to be really happy, or buys both. Corded one is a very good tool as well, and these will be more expensive because of the fact that they are cordless or cord free. You know, you have to decide what's more important to you, the cord or not. But I love the fact that I don't need the cord. That's great. This is a huge step up from what I had before, which notably just about anything would be a pretty big step up. I'm going to be clear about that, but this is a huge step up. Polishing is the thing that not everybody loves to do because it takes a lot of time and effort. Some people absolutely love it, but it's a really long step. These are going to cut down that time and they're going to do a good job. Let's finish this part up here really quick and see what this looks like now. So we'll throw a little panel prep on here, see if it looks any different. All right, so this is as clean a cooktop as it's gonna get. My wife will be really happy that it's super clean. And I think you can tell that it's cleaner than it was before. It's definitely shinier than it was before, which is awesome. Now we need to apply a little bit of this onto the surface. This one's got graphene in it, so we're gonna shake it for a little bit and we'll apply it. All right, really quickly before I apply the ceramic coating here to the stove, I found this in my things, my detailing things. This is an example of the size of what I was using this Meguiar's before. It attached to a DA system to your drill and there was a little handle on the end, but this is the size that I was using to do entire vehicles with before I got that Work Pro. So you can imagine how long it took to do an entire car. Now this can be nice to get into certain areas for sure with it being that small, but honestly I've not had that problem with the bigger 6 inches, but I upgraded to the Work Pro from this. So kind of interesting, and I actually gave that system to a friend of mine. These are a lot better than both of those things. All right, let's finish this up really quick. Okay. Just put a few drops on and here we go. Maybe just a couple more drops I'm gonna put on. I didn't put very many on, so. All right. All right, and then these, I wanna be able to use it again, so I'm actually gonna throw it in with some either Rags to Riches or the microfiber wash that they have from the House Rags, and let that kind of soak in there, and then I can use it again in the future, which is great. All right, so let's go ahead and check for flashing. Hard to see in something like this, but I think we're good. And yeah, no pressure to wipe off, so I think we're good. It is slick. It's all done, looking good. But you were really here for the cordless polishers, and you also got a quick how else can you use ceramic and how you can use a cordless polisher on your oven. But the first impressions for me on these are really good. I don't think anybody who buys one's gonna be disappointed. So I think, Ivan, you did a great job. I love the placement of the battery. I love that they're cordless. I love the weight. They were super easy to use on this, and I can't wait to use them on my vehicles in the future. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this out with anybody who might be interested in polishers or is interested in detailing. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, live your life in beta, and we'll see you next time.